Another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over my possessed deck profile. I suppose, since it's not exactly Charmers, but going over my possessed and the evolution throughout the year. No, I'm kidding. I could do an evolution video of the possessed monsters if you would like. Sorry, I'm playing with my phone stand. I'm not using my phone stand anymore until I get my desk cleaned up. But this is using exactly 3 of the Shaddoll, I'm sorry, I was just talking about Shaddolls. This is using exactly 3 of the Charmer structure deck with the exception to this one card, which I'm only running 1 copy of, which you can use Grand Spiritual Art Ichiran instead. And you trade out the Gigabytes for 1 Inari Fire and 1 Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness. And then you can make it an Earth and Fire themed one. Something I like about Charmers is you could make them however you want. I'm not using Wind in this variation, unfortunately, but... And I was also disappointed I got 3 of the structure deck. One of them didn't even come with an alternate art for this. It came with the token, though. And the other 2, I got 2 Hitas. Now, I was disappointed, but I am at least glad that I got a double of my favorite one. And I'm still disappointed, Konami. Make sure please don't happen where you're not giving a promo. Or if you would even consider it a promo. Not really a promo, but you know what I mean. You all know what I mean. But, alright, moving on. So, for the deck profile, like I said, I'm not running the Wind. I'm not running Win. So that's, if you want to run Win, just drop the Earth by 1 and throw in the Wind. But, so, triple, Asa, Familiar Possessed, special this card from your hand or deck. Well, we're not using Charmer, so basically, the Familiar Possessed monsters, 3 Asa, 2 Hita, which might I say is beauty. Please focus, camera. Don't be like that. 3 Asa, 2 Hita, and 2 Iria. I typically see people run 3 1 and 1, assuming they're using the Wind. 1 1 and 1, 1, 4 1s, 3, and 3 1s. I tend to have consistency problems with only running 1 of each. So I'm running 4-ish. So I'm running 7, and I seem to have no problems with it, other than an occasional brick here or there. But, yeah. So, Familiar Possessed, not going to go into detail, they're just 1850s, basically. They're required for the deck. So, next, we're moving on to the dual spirits of the deck, give or take. We've got the 2 Nefarious or Archfiend. Awakening of the Possessed. Special summon this card from your hand or deck by sending 1 face-up spellcaster monster and 1 face-up level 4 lower earth monster from your field to the graveyard. When it's special summoned, you can target 1 level 4 lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it and negate its effects. And then, same thing with the other one, so I'm not going to say it for these 2, that when it's sent to the graveyard, sent from the field to the grave by any means, you can add 1 spiritual art of whatever attribute this is, so earth, fire, water, etc. Or 1 possessed spell trap from your deck to your hand. I find the earth one the most useful. I don't know why my camera's having focusing problems today. Yoink, focus please. There we go. But, alright, so we have 2 of the earth. We got 1 of the fire and 1 of the water. The fire, when it's summoned, and each one also summons the same way, with the exception to the attribute change. So earth, you need a fire level 4 and a water level 4, and all of them need a spellcaster. When the fire is summoned, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. When the water is summoned, you can discard a random card from your opponent's hand. And then each player draws 1 card. So, those are the core features of the deck. I'm running 2 of the Earth. I've seen people run it 1, run it 3. I like 2. Not seeing it in your opening hand. You don't want to see any of these in your opening hand. And it's still consistent enough where the first one goes, you can still bring it back. So, moving on to our extenders. Triple Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness. I actually said something at the beginning of the video that I actually now realize it's a mess up, because I did modify the deck just a hair. But Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness, running 2 Unary Fire, and 2 Gigabyte. They all do the same thing, basically, for the deck. You're not really going to use their secondary effects all that much, except Unary Fire, but when you control a spellcaster, you can special summon it from your hand. That's basically it. You can only special summon it once per turn this way. Actually, that's not true. You can special summon as many. I did not realize that. You're most likely not going to see duplicates in your hand. But, yeah, that's how you access your Awakening to the Possessed. If I had the Wind one, I'd be running Wind. But I don't have the Wind Familiar Possessed. Next, Triple Fairy Tale Luna. Fairy Tale Luna is amazing. Compulsory evacuation device, basically. You start 1 monster your opponent controls, 1 monster you control, turn them both to the hand. Quick effect. And but your opponent can send 1 monster from their deck or extra deck to the graveyard that matches the monster that you targeted to negate the effect. And with normal summon, you can add 1 spellcaster monster with 1850 attack, which is any of the familiar possessed monsters. Moving on to our hand traps, basically. Once again, this is only using 3 of the structure deck, so we're not running Ash Blossom. We got triple Witchcrafter Golem Aruru. Aruru sounds so funny. When spellcaster is targeted for an attack, quick effect, you can target 1 card your opponent controls or 1 Witchcrafter spell card in your graveyard, not applying to this deck. Return them both to the hand. And during your opponent's standby phase, return this card to your hand. So, and then we're running the other hand trap that comes in the beautiful deck. Effect Veiler. Beautiful. I wish they didn't do Effect Veiler. Well, I mean, I don't have Effect Veiler. Now I do. But I wish they didn't overall. Because Effect Veiler is in a lot of decks. It's in Saga of the Blue Eyes. Effect Veiler is really easy to get your hands on. Maybe they should print a common Ghost Ogre. Maybe. But, moving on to the spells. Spells and traps. Most important spell in the deck. Spirit Charmers. Once again, give my camera a second to focus on it. Very beautiful artwork. Come on. It's a quick play spell. You can discard 1 card, take 2 cards from your deck with different names from each other that are Charmer monsters, familiar possessed monsters, and or possessed spell trap cards. Why couldn't they just say a possessed monster? Possessed card? Because if you think about it, the familiar possessed and possessed spell traps. Unless there's other possessed monsters besides the familiar possessed. But Awakening of the Possessed. So, I mean, you don't want to add those to your hand anyways. But add 1 of them to your hand and set the other. You can only activate Spirit Charms once per turn. Typically, you're going to do the 1 Awakening of the Possessed. I did play this at 3, and I drew it too much, and it's not really worth it. So, playing it at 1's beautiful, but I also like going for the trap cards, Partnership, and Unpossessed. And for our follow-up with the spells, going to play beautiful Board Breaker, Darker Than No More. Allows you to combo off and then interrupt your opponent. Well, not really interrupting your opponent during your turn, but the only downside is your opponent takes no damage. So, yeah. And for the final spell in our deck, 2 Secret Villages Spellcasters. Do I even need to go into this card? If you control a spellcaster, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you don't control a spellcaster, you can't activate spells. Not that there's really any spells you want to activate anyways. And then for the traps, 2 Possessed Partnerships and 2 Unpossessed. May I say real quick, every card in this deck has amazing artwork. Favorite artworks of this deck, well, with the exception to Effect Veiler and Golem or Ruru. I've seen them too many times, but like all the familiar possessed monsters, all the Awakening of the Possessed, all have beautiful artworks. It's just, yes. But, what I was saying, Possessed Partnership. Special summon 1 spellcaster monster with 1500 defense from your hand or grave in attack or face down defense. Typically going to do attack because of its second effect. If you control 2 monsters with different attributes, then destroy 1 card in the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard to 1 possessed continuous spell / trap in your graveyard. Place it face up on your field. So Possessed Partnerships, if, let's just say, our only Awakening of the Possessed gets destroyed, then we could use Possessed Partnerships and redo it. We get it back on our field with that second effect. And, oh, I forgot to go over big mess up here. Awakening of the Possessed, monsters you control gain 300 attack for each different attribute you control. Charmers and familiar possessed monsters you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. No, cannot be destroyed by card effects, I'm sorry. The spellcaster monster with 1850 original attack is normal special summon to your field, draw 1 card. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, yeah, draw power. But, unpossessed, charmer monsters, which we don't have, so that effect doesn't apply. Cannot be destroyed by battle. If a familiar possessed monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack during damage calculation. That helped me get over Blue Eyes. I had 2 of these. 1600 whenever it attacks. Plus the 18 it's already got. Plus whatever it gains from Awakening of the Possessed. I'm sorry, let's not restart it. Well, it's already face up in your spell trap zone. When a monster is destroyed with battle or card effect, deems person 1 spellcaster with 1500 defense from your deck, whose attribute is different from at least one of the destroyed monsters' original attributes on the field, in attack position or face down defense. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, when my opponent destroys my monster, I get to bring out another one, basically. Yeah. Fun. But, let me know below which art in this deck do you think is your favorite. I can't decide between the Unpossessed, Possessed Partnerships, and Hida, the alternate art of Hida. They're definitely tied. I think I would go with the alternate art of Hida. You are allowed to include the alternate arts if you've seen them in other videos, like other people's videos or whatever, and all of that. And for the tokens that I got 2 of the same tokens, unfortunately, and then I got both playmats for these tokens too. So it's very, very cute, chibi-like. Let me know which token's your favorite below as well. Alright, peace out.